You might not be into sync licensing right now. You might want to start, but you're apprehensive because you don't know if your music is good enough to be placed in TV shows. Well, consider these 4 things. Number 1, is your music too distracting? So here's a track. Let's listen to what too distracting may sound like. Now, it's a lot going on in there. 1, it's not. The volume is all everywhere. Listening to the drums is too much in the drums. Then I got this harsh sound right here. Now, for shows, that will be very distracting, and it probably will prevent your music from getting placed if you get into a music library. So let me play the second half and show you how you can make a slight change to make it less distracting. So if you notice, I took out that harsh lead, and it's the same thing. I'm just playing it right here on these plucks. So it's the same melody. If I move it over. So now it's less distracting. You see how it's just riding in the background? If you notice with the drums, I took out those extra claps and it's still creating some movement. Number 2. Your music may be too boring. So playing back that clip, it sounds good, right? We got rid of those harsh tones, but now it's too boring. If we would just keep loop this, it get monotonous. So I'm gonna show you how you can make small changes using the same beat structure, but to make it a little bit more interesting. I took out the hi-hats. Little bit more hi-hats. See that crash at the top? Faster hi-hats. And then you see at the ending right here, I took out some of the drums and added a riser. So you just think right there, in those few 8 bars, it was a lot of changes that can keep things moving. So make sure when you're making your music, you have changes about every 4 to 8 bars, and they don't have to be big. As you can see, the changes I made weren't big, but they added some movement and excitement to the track. Number 3, does it sound good? The term good when it comes to music and how it sounds, it's really relative and up to the person, especially in sync licensing, that places your music in the show. So this example right here, this was a song that actually got placed in a TV show. And if you watch my previous video, this track made like $150 for my last July update. And I made this song in 2017. It sounds a little bit older, and I'm gonna let you hear it and you determine if this is good or not. Mystery. Sneaky. Watch out, I'm creeping up on you. Now you see all the small changes? It's so simple. So when I made this beat, at the time, of course, I thought it was an okay beat, right? Compared to what I can make now, it's like, but this song has been making me money since 2017. And you see how simple that was. But you see how I applied the steps of not being boring? it changed throughout the song. Little cues, nothing jumped out at you, nothing was distracting, right? This song, Creep Up on 'Em, it was made to be sneaky, mysterious, dark, and light, because you got to remember the action is the star. The music is there just to accompany, I can't even say the word, to to go hand in hand with the scene. So is it good? That's why I suggest that you finish your songs even if you don't like the music. So this would get you in the habit of routine to finishing your beats faster. I know when I first started, if I didn't like it or feel like it wasn't going anywhere, I'll just stop the beat. So I got a whole bunch of just drum loops and ideas that I never go back to because I thought, this ain't sound too good, I'm gonna stop. But now, even if it's like okay, mid, I still finish out the song. Because as you can see, you don't know what the other person is looking for. If it fits the scene, it fits the scene. So what I mean by good music is all relative. And the last thing you should think about is the actual mix, good. Now, even though I just said music is subjective of how it sounds, if it's good or bad, there is some worse things that can make it sound bad as far as the mix quality. So let's go on with my same example. I'm gonna just put an EQ over this. Now listen to it without the EQ. Now let's say your mix sounded like this. Now, if that's the whole mix, that's not gonna fly. But like for a little transition, see, that little EQ sweep added some motion right there. I'm putting on y'all game right there. Something simple, right? Let's do that again. Little EQ sweep, that added some motion, but you get the point. If it sounded all muddy the whole time, that's not a good mix. We can also go in reverse. No bass. Now, they could use that. I don't know. But that's not necessarily a good mix. Just playing with EQs, that's not a good mix. Doesn't sound good. So that's what I mean by the mix sounding good. So this track, it's not the best quality. It's mixed good. You can hear all the instruments. And the reason you can hear that because it's so sparse, right? You don't need a lot to make a track. So things sound nice. They hitting pretty nice. Nice volume levels on it. To see if your mixes are good, you can put them up against popular songs that you like now. They're probably not going to sound like studio quality. I mean, you got people that's professional mixing on that, and you may be good up to that point, but you don't need to be like the greatest mixer in the world. Like I said, it needs to sound clear. It needs to sound open and spacious, not too muddied. Has some bass, but not too much. So once you compare your music and use reference tracks to other shows, right? Go to shows that you like, that you think your music will fit in. Nowadays, you can find out the whole track list of what's played on these shows, and then you can just listen to the instrumentals and reference those tracks and see, okay, my mix sounds up to par with this one. I think I'm ready. Even with these tips, you will never know until you get feedback if your music is good enough or bad enough. I know when I first started NSYNC licensing, I paid for to be in a couple of libraries and song opportunities. Well, in hindsight, they were just taking my music. I wasn't ready then. I know it now looking back. My formatting was off. My mixes wasn't right. The songs didn't sound that great, but they took my money because they want to make money. Now, not every library that takes money is bad. They give you opportunities that you can get in front of people, right? So you only learn that over time. And if you're still struggling to understand if your music sounds good or not, Watch this video to see how I got my music into Kevin Hart's new celebrity show.